Hi, this video will cover all the basics on how to start with telekinesis right in this moment. So first of all, you would want to start with a certain object. Sadly, it wouldn't be as successful if you would start with something as, I suppose, a TV remote, or closing your doors, or switching a light. So I would recommend you to start with something called Cywell. This is something very popular in the telekinesis community. It's usually just a piece of paper folded on top of needle in the rubber or anything really standing. Anything thin on which the paper, folded paper or tin foil can stand on. This is the basic technique, the basic object you can start with. Second of all, you can start with tinfoil. I personally use tinfoil. I think it's a great thing to start with because it is lighter and it is more structured than, for example, paper. So if you are going for paper, I would recommend switching to a tinfoil. Of course, try to find a quiet space in which you can focus on it. It doesn't mean though that you cannot use anything to listen to. I find it very helpful to use, for example, meditation music or white noise or brown noise. It can also work and it puts you more easily into a flow state. Also, any music that is relatively chill and puts you in the flow and doesn't distract you will also do great. Now, you probably wonder how to do telekinesis as a beginner. What's next? If you're someone who is not used to spirituality and the whole mindset of connection and being one, well, obviously, I would recommend you to start with meditating beforehand. And technically, any meditation will do, especially the breathing one, the one that will put you in a focused mindset. But you can easily just do it yourself by putting on some kind of quiet meditative music and just breathing and focusing on your exhale and inhale. That's all that meditation can be about. Let's do it together. Inhale. Exhale. And that's all you do. You just focus on your inhale and exhale until you calm down and you will attain this focused mindset. So you can do it as much as you want. Meditation is very flexible, so you don't have to worry about doing it in a specific way. A great start for a beginner would be to connect with an object you're working with in telekinesis, because connection is very crucial for telekinesis. How to do that? The most practical and easier way you can do it in is basically observing an object, observing its patterns and nature. And it probably sounds complicated, but all I mean by that is just simply observing how the object behaves when it's being moved. So for example, if you have a pen and you want to move a pen, you roll it and you see, how does that move? How does it move? How does it move? What is its weight? Is it fluid or is it structured in a way which its shape is not changeable at the moment? So if you want to move a tin foil, you observe how light it is. Or you observe how it moves. You move it on the table and you see how it behaves. Why? Because it helps with visualization, which is another very important part of telekinesis. So when you come into the telekinesis, you want to visualize the object moving. You want to get a realistic feel of how it moves, and that's why it's important to connect to it at the beginning and see how it behaves when it's in movement. So when you do that, when you have already this realistic image of how it moves, you can easily visualize it in as much realistic way as you can. Now, after you already have that visualization, the next part of telekinesis is to have a certain trigger. You may use your hands, you may use your head to move with it, but basically your brains are used to moving things physically by having a physical contact with it. So when we want to move something, we move our hand towards it, we move it in a certain way. So the same with telekinesis for beginners, it's important that you will have this type of trigger. You can use your fist, you can use your fingers, you can use your hand in any way you want. You can use even your eyes or anything like that. You don't have to even be with your hand near the object. You can do it like that, anywhere over an object, but basically have this trigger, have this type of movement that will symbolize for your brain a trigger to move something. As a beginner, I wouldn't be too selective about it or too worried about how close it is or anything like that, but just have in mind to have this type of trigger. You can use your hand however much you want. And those are the most important steps to attaining telekinesis for a beginner. Have in mind that telekinesis is still a completely complex, beautiful practice, and there is so much to talk about it, so make sure to check out my other videos where I talk in detail about certain principles and topics themed around telekinesis, but also spirituality, so make sure to check that out. If it was helpful, leave a like. If you want to see more content like that, subscribe, and make sure to let me know in the comments if it helped you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.